So the game is going to come out July of 2024 for the 2024 season. So we're just about to have the 2023 season. So we're thinking about this like, who's going to be the best people in the game? What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football back at it again. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be updated on everything college football, pro football, Madden, EA college football, NFL draft, anything related to American football, hit that red subscribe button. You will not be disappointed. Also hit the like button too. And remember, subscribers, baby. 13 more. We're almost to 1,000. Come on, click it, baby. I know I want to. Without further ado, let's get into this video. All right, guys, we have some very, very rare news that came out in the EA college football world. And again, in case you've never been here before, you need to know that I love me some EA college football. I want to talk about an article that came out. However, for those of you who aren't fans of EA college football, we also have kind of a little bit of a debate going on at the end of this video here to go over kind of what's going to happen with the players in the game, because they're going to be real in the game. Here we are on ESPN.com from Michael Rothstein. We've got EA Sports letting FBS players opt in to the 2024 game. Now, remember, in case you guys have never been here before, you don't know, it was a big situation before because there was this weird thing back in the day where it was like, oh, they're amateurs, they shouldn't be getting paid and blah, blah, blah. But like there would be players who would have their, their name, image, and likeness in the game that they would make money off of it. The EA Sports would. They wouldn't compensate the players. As an example, one of the formations back in the day was a Tim Tebow formation. His name was there. He was not compensated for it. That's one of those examples there. But it's the Ed O'Bannon case. I've got plenty of videos about that. Just look up Ed O'Bannon case and it'll explain the whole name, image, and likeness deal, because it used to be college basketball had a game, college football had a game. You weren't allowed to have players in there. Now, because NIL, this and that, it looks like EA Sports is letting FBS players opt in for compensation to their video game. When the first version of a college football video game in years comes out next summer, the virtual likenesses of the actual players will be in the game. An EA Sports representative confirmed to ESPN on Wednesday that it has contracted with One Team Partners to, quote, facilitate collegiate athletes' names, images, and likenesses into the game, solving one of the major questions about college football's return to the video game space. The partnership will include the chance for all eligible FBS players to opt in to have their likenesses in EA college football, the representative said. Those players will receive compensation for being placed in the game. And again, this was a huge detail here. We're also going to continue on here because several schools came out when this initially signed. And again, they had an agreement with a licensing company out there for all these college programs. Well, several of them were actually left out of that. You actually are going to see here that most of those programs have opted in because they wanted to make sure that NIL was taken care of and the players in the game would be compensated for that. It sounds like it's happening at this point. Details, such as how much an athlete will receive and the structure of the payments, are being finalized, but EA Sports representative said the goal is to be, quote, as inclusive and equitable as possible. On the One Team website, the company stated that if the influence of the individual sales couldn't be figured out, including for the video game licensing, then, quote, revenue will be divided equally among the athletes included in each licensing program. And again, you know the situation here. Here's a really good question. I'm not so sure what they do here, but what happened before was that a player who wasn't going to be in the game but was entering the NFL, that they could sign with an agent, they would put them on the cover. Does this open it up to be like, hey, if you're going to be an athlete on the cover, you got to be a good player or something like that? Could you be an active player? I don't know. They have that capability of doing that. But again, we continue on. If a player does not want to be in the game, EA Sports would create a generic avatar and player in that athlete's place. And again, right now, if you've already played NCAA football 2014, I played still to this day, you can just have a randomized roster out there. So that's not a big deal. They're fully capable of doing that now. For participating players, it is possible a face scan of their likeness could be in the game, the representative said, though not every athlete will receive a face scan because there are thousands of FBS players across the country. The representative said more than 120 FBS schools have committed to being in the game, along with all 10 FBS conferences and the CFP, with the goal remaining to have every FBS school in the game. When EA Sports announced the return of its college football series in 2021, questions surrounding the name, image, and likeness were among the biggest it needed to answer. At the time, Notre Dame was among the small number of schools that indicated through statements or news reports that would not agree to participate until NIL compensation was worked out. Much has happened since many of those declarations, including the passage of NIL legislation and collegiate athletes making money off their name, image, and likeness. Following Wednesday's agreement, and remember I said before, some teams weren't out, but they are opting in. Those include Wisconsin, Northwestern, TCU, Fresno State, and Tulane said their schools would now opt in to the game. A Notre Dame source told ESPN on Wednesday that the school has been in touch with EA Sports to help the NIL integration for the video game. It doesn't seem, though, that Notre Dame has made a decision on being in the game. I have something I'm going to come on camera here because it's a big thing about Notre Dame and what they need to be ready for. So Notre Dame needs to 100% be ready. If they were not to be in this game for multiple years here, and again, I think they should take care of it, but let's just say they aren't in the game. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be an entire generation. Let's just say 7 years they don't decide to be in a game. 8 years they don't decide to be in a game. Most of these kids start playing these games around 10, 11, 12 years old, maybe even a little younger than that. Well, when they're 17, 18, 19, I mean, they don't even know what the hell's going on there. Michael Mayer, as an example, he was their tight end who just got drafted by the Raiders, my boys. He even said, he's like, I'd never even seen Notre Dame before they offered me. It was one of those situations where if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. Notre Dame needs to get in the game as soon as possible. So that's the first section we're going to talk about this video. We see the NIL is in the game. Most importantly, though, think about the situation here. So that right there. So the game is going to come out July of 2024 for the 2024 season. So we're just about to have the 2023 season. So we're thinking about this like, who's going to be the best people in the game? So here's the criteria. What I went through is I found 9 names that I wanted to bring up here because we've got a couple guys to talk about here. We've got we've got some out West guys. And again, I know Boise State guy, I'm a complete homer. We got some guys from the Out West. We got Big 12. We got Big 10. We got SEC. We've got everything across the board there. The criteria for this game is going to be as such. It's going to be make sure, hey, somebody's got to be either a really good sophomore or a really good freshman. If they're a sophomore, remember here, this is going to be 2 years from now, so they would be seniors. So they couldn't be somebody who's going to look like they're automatically joining the NFL. As an example, Caleb Williams was a sophomore last year. He'll be a junior this next year. He's not going to be in the game. He's going pro. Drake May is the same situation. He's going pro. Marvin Harrison Jr., he's going pro. I'm not having them in this discussion. So you either need to be a really good freshman or a sophomore that's really good, but looks like they're probably not necessarily an NFL prospect. I have those top 9 guys who I think are going to be in the game in 2024. Let's start with that list at number 9 with my boy at Boise State. So remember here, my boy over here in backup duty, 156 carries, 821 yards, is the second leading rusher on the team in spot duty. When we saw him last year, 5'8", 205, my boy Ashton Jeanty, running back, absolute stud. In the spring game, he was basically untouchable. I think he touched the ball like 5 times for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was absolutely unstoppable there. Ashton Jeanty comes in at number 9 for the 2024 EA College Football game. Number 8 is a surprising one from Waimanolo, Hawaii. Let me try this real quick. Okay. Tetaraioa McMillan. That might have been close right there. But anyways, out there with Jed Fish at Arizona with the big turnaround. Again, 1 win 2 years ago. Last year was about a couple wins, 4 or 5 wins like that. They actually had a really, really good freshman there. 6'5". Big thing about this right here is 6'5". It's tough to be, I don't know how he, projects to the NFL, but I know he should be in college by then. 700 yards and 8 touchdowns in his first season in college football as a true freshman. Really like what he's done. He comes in at number 8. Now, this one is surprising here because Travis Hunter was one of the top players in the country committed to Jackson State. You see how it says Jackson State here. He's cornerback / receiver. I think he's going to be an absolute dog, absolute stud. However, cycling back between corner and receiver, not really sure if he's going to develop into a top flight in either one. That's just my projection here. I suspect he'll probably be fine because, again, he's played both. So you have to think, well, is he going to be a little short change here, a little short change there? He's also going up a big step in competition. The Pac-12 this next year is going to be wild. We'll see how he does. I have him coming in at number 7 in the EA College Football 2024 game. All right, number 6, and we've got a pair of Michigan Wolverines up here from what I've checked out here. So your boy Kenneth Grant, 6'3", 356. Now think about this. He was a 3-star athlete just like a year and a half ago. He was a 3-star athlete. You're like, this guy's okay. Comes into Michigan, was so dominant and so good that at their spring game, he was the number 1 selected player, even over the quarterback, running back. Everybody liked that. Kenneth Grant, he's going to be entering his junior season, 6'3", 356. Again, absolute house. All right, number 5, and remember here, I only have 2 sophomores on here because basically for the sophomores that I picked, it's like a really good player who doesn't look like they necessarily project to the NFL very much, so they're going to probably return after their junior year for their senior year. I have Colin Oliver, pass rusher, defensive end out there at Oklahoma State. So for him, Freshman year, 11 and a half sacks, very good. Sophomore year, 5 sacks, really good there. You look at what he is, though, 6'2", 235. He's a defensive end, so he's a really small defensive end in the NFL. In fact, impossibly small. Only Robert Mathis was that size. And then outside linebacker, he's even a small outside linebacker pass rusher. He's probably going to be that in the NFL, a 3-4 outside linebacker, something like that. Would not be surprised if he came back just for some polishing, even if he had, let's say he still had 10 sacks. Would not be surprised if he came back again. Again, I have him as my 5th best player entering EA College Football 2024. All right, now we're entering some dogs here. So Will Johnson is corner from Michigan, 6'3", 190, burner, 3 picks last season, 3 passes defended. He is, I'm telling you right now, he's got, top 5. He's got Sauce Gardner status written all over him. He's going to be an absolute stud. Burner too. So I'm telling you, like I said, Michigan has the 2 pair. This is one of them. Freshman this last year, will be a sophomore this next year. Entering 2024, he will be a junior. He is a 3-and-done type of player. He's the number 4 player entering EA College Football 2024. All right, now here's the situation here. So again, I already mentioned there before about, Oklahoma State, their pass rusher. We talk about Harold Perkins. Harold Perkins is just, he's different, okay? He is going to be an absolute stud here because he is a freshman this last year. I mean, the game he had against Arkansas, what did he have? He had 8 tackles, 6 solo, 3 sacks. I mean, he literally was a forced fumble. He was all over the field. 3 forced fumbles, 1 pick. He reminds me of Micah Parsons, where he could be an edge rusher. He could be a 4-3 outside linebacker, a 4-3 middle linebacker, or 3-4 middle linebacker, 3-4 outside. He could basically do any linebacker on the field. He's an absolute dog. Remember, he was 19 this last year. He's actually 19 right now. And looks like, again, if he puts on 10, 20 pounds, by that time he enters in, he's going to be an absolute dog on EA College Football for the 2024 season. Now, this one's going to shock some people here. I'm not trying to be offensive. There will be some Georgia fans that take offense to this, but hear me out. Brock Bowers. I think that, remember, he's a sophomore this last year when they won the national championship. He will be a junior next year, and then I think he will be a senior for EA College Football 2024. The reason why I think so is because he's 6'4", 230. So 6'4" is tall enough to be a tight end in the NFL. 230 is a little light there. Now, again, if he puts on a bunch of weight in between now and, eventually when he's ready to see if he can join the NFL draft after this next season, that could happen. However, I'm betting, though, that he's the kind of guy. Remember, if you're really good in the SEC, that's not a guarantee that you're going to be really good in the NFL. I bring up Johnny Manziel. I bring up, Tim Tebow, something like that. Those are both quarterbacks. But Brock Bowers is probably more in that H-back type of, realm there. I was watching Pro Football Focus's, broadcast, and a lot of them were saying, yeah, he's a good college player, but 6'4", 230 tight end in the NFL defensive ends are 290, 300 pounds. That would be, can you imagine him trying to block, TJ Watt or Myles Garrett or something like that? Again, he would probably be an H-back only unless he takes 2 years to build up some strength. Again, still going to be really good in college. Let's just make sure we're clear about this. He's going to be 99 overall for sure, potentially his junior year, and for sure his senior year. He's my number 2 player entering that first EA College Football game. And number 1, for those of you who don't know who are outside of the SEC, I'm going to make sure you know who my boy Quinshon Judkins is. Again, I love my boy Ashton Jeanty. Quinshon had double the amount of stats that he had. 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, true freshman, 5'11", 220. Burner, he does everything well from a running back perspective. Is he the greatest prospect in the world? I don't know. But from a college perspective here, to the NFL. But from a college perspective here, the dude looks like he's going to be a 2,000-yard runner pretty quick here. He's an absolute dog. He looks like he's the number 1 player to me entering EA College Football 2024, the number 1 guy. So that's what I got right there, okay? My top 3, okay? We've got Harold Perkins from LSU. He entered EA College Football's first game. He's going to be an absolute dog out there. I think Brock Bowers comes back. I don't think he's in that H-back type realm. He's a little small for a tight end. I don't know if he's going to enter early into the NFL draft, but the number 1 by far is Quinshon Judkins, the running back at Ole Miss. Again, 5'11", 220 as a true freshman, 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns. He is an absolute beast. He will be the best player on the very first EA College Football game that comes out in 2024. All right, guys, get in the comments right now. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. Are you excited for the game? Do you think Notre Dame is going to actually get their agreements through? Would you agree with my list? Yes or no on those top 9 guys that I had right now? Get in the comments right now and let me know. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I appreciate it. That's it for me, guys. I'll see you guys later. I am out.